This week on NEC-TV, he's created artwork for Major League Sports and Hollywood. We sit down with artist and professor Rich Pellegrino to hear about his work. Plus, a former U.S. Senator and ambassador to New Zealand is running for U.S. Senate in New Hampshire and spoke in the NEC Pub. Here our one-on-one interview with Republican Scott Brown. And in sports, a tense semifinal playoff game for field hockey and a major win for wrestling. All that and more just ahead on NEC-TV. Good afternoon, and thank you for watching NEC-TV. I'm Bodie Robinson. Today is Thursday, November 6, 2025. One of the NEC professors is known for his artwork that is used by professional sports teams and Hollywood. NEC's TV's Sue Sabisky sat down with Rich Pellegrino to hear more about his work.
Okay, so I'm Sue Sabisky, and I'm sitting here with Rich Pellegrino, which is a associate professor of illustration here at NEC, and I'm just going to ask you a few questions about what you do for work. So tell me about your work as an illustrator, and what kind of medium do you work in?
Thank you, Sue, for having me. I'm an illustrator. I work in commercial art. Recently been doing a lot of work in the professional sports genre, so I work with all major sports leagues the past couple of years, from NBA, NFL, MLB, MLS, and NHL. So been pretty busy last 2.5 years or so.
Is that when you started, or how long have you been into illustration?
So prior to that, I was doing work right out of college. I graduated in 2006, and I was doing science fiction fantasy books then. So a lot of books about dragons, high fantasy, magic, all that stuff. Got really bored of it and decided, my work is becoming a day job and not what I was doing it, going to college for. So I got a day job at a bank. I was probably the worst teller in all of Citizens Bank. I gave out money to everybody. I was always on probation and in trouble, and because I was drawing on cash tickets on customers. Yep. And ended up redoing my entire portfolio, my approach, started exploring what my work is going to be like for me to be happy with. So what's my line? What's my use of black and white? How do I use color? What is my subject matter? I just wanted to enjoy it again. And then I found my way into pop culture. I was doing a lot of gallery shows out in LA, which led to tribute shows for Wes Anderson, the film director, to some licensed shows for AMC and Breaking Bad, where the cast and crew would actually come to the openings on the other side of the country, so I couldn't really go all the time. And that led to work in film. I got to collaborate with Wes Anderson, filmmaker, on the Grand Budapest Hotel, where I did a painting used as a prop in the movie, and that played a prominent role, which is really fun because I was a huge fan of his movies. And after that, my work progressed into comics and then moved into sports, and the link throughout all of it was dynamic composition, high energy stuff, lots of narrative and energy in the work.
So you talked about how you've done a lot of illustration for movies, stuff like that, genres, and sports. Which do you think would be your favorite?
Well, it depends on which version of me you're asking, to be honest. Back in those days, I loved what I was doing, and now the work I'm doing now I currently enjoy most and wouldn't go back to the work I was doing before. So in this moment right now, it's the sports-themed illustration work that combines my love of comics with action and composition and dynamic poses, and kind of the compositions I would use for movie posters when I would do those kind of projects, but now using sports figures. And as a kid, I played a lot of sports. I was a hockey player for 10, 12 years or so, and played a lot of basketball, a lot of baseball too. So I guess for me, it's coming full circle. And these projects are exciting and high visibility. I get to interact with fans, and I approach each one as from the fan standpoint. So I'm a big Patriots fan. No offense to all the other teams I've been fortunate to work with, right? But I get to interact with the fans, making it from the point of view as a fan, and it's just another way to kind of reach through the canvas to speak to the audience. And instead of talking about my favorite movies and video games like I used to do, now it's sports and that kind of energy.
Cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you come up with your ideas for making your illustrations.
The ideas, they just appear to me.
They just flow.
They just flow right in the ether, yeah. For me, since I'm working in commercial work, but even when I would do personal paintings, I would research the genre I'm working with, whatever the job is. So they'll give me like, all right, we need to get the players on the field, Halloween or whatever it is, up to you how you want to present it. And then I'll come up with ideas that best come to that solution. So for example, if I need to look into like zombies or something, as an avid video gamer, so I know a lot about Resident Evil and Silent Hill and all that, I brought a lot of that imagery into my recent work with the Patriots. And I'm homaging old comics, old games, and just making it fun. So yeah, as far as like approaching a good job, it's always like getting to know the client, what their needs are, building a bunch of references, brainstorming ideas, word association, and then thumbnailing out compositions before I arrive at the final look of the piece. And once I'm ready to send it off for approval, then I usually get a yes, and then I just start building up my reference assets, and I redraw the whole thing. I come up with a color palette that kind of fits the mood of the piece. So if it's a scary one, it's going to be dark and blue or purple, whatever. If it's light and cheery, I'm going to go with different palettes to affect the emotion response of the viewers. And then I just work, listen to audiobooks the whole time to kind of put the hours.
Sorry, we had a technical issue. We're going to put that story on our Instagram. A Republican running for New Hampshire's U.S. Senate seat says he wants an end to the government shutdown. Scott Brown, a former U.S. Senator and ambassador to New Zealand, told the crowd at Pizza and Politics in the pub last night that the current senators and representatives should not be getting paid while the government is in shutdown. He tells NEC-TV's Jack Cody that he's running for a variety of reasons and isn't afraid to voice his opinions.
Well, I decided to run because I'm not happy with what's going on in D.C., and I'm not happy with the people that are representing us in D.C. In New Hampshire, we have a Republican governor, former Senator Kelly Ayotte. We had Governor Sununu, and now we have a supermajority in the Senate, a large majority in the House, a supermajority in the Executive Council. We have what's called the New Hampshire Advantage, and for those of you listening and watching, it means no income tax, no sales tax, no interest and dividends tax, no bottle bill, carry a gun or not, wear a motorcycle helmet or not, and yet we have people in D.C. who are thwarting that, our elected officials, Chris Pappas, obviously Goodlander, Hassan, and Shaheen. And what they're doing is they're raising taxes, more spending, more regulations, open borders, sanctuary cities, all these things that are just like completely contrary to what we're doing. And I feel that they're not doing a good job. It's an open seat. I ran against Jean about 10 years ago, barely lost to her. And I was going to run again, and she decided not to run. And now I got Chris Pappas in there who makes AOC look like Rush Limbaugh compared to him. So I'm excited to give it a shot and hopefully earn the people's support.
Brown is one of several candidates running for U.S. Senate. The race will be one of the closest watched ones in the country. For more information and the next Pizza and Politics, follow NEC Civic on Instagram. Now, at day 37, we are in the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. According to the Associated Press, the Federal Aviation Administration expects thousands of flights to be impacted as it takes steps to reduce air traffic by 10%. In 40 markets starting tomorrow. The FAA says these reductions will keep the sky safe as air traffic controllers exhibit signs of strain during the ongoing government shutdown. The agency did not immediately say which airports or cities will be affected, but says these restrictions will be in place as long as necessary. New Hampshire Governor Kelly Ayotte and Representative Maggie Goodlander will be on campus Monday to join a ceremony officially recognizing NEC as a Purple Heart College. A Purple Heart is awarded to members of the military that are wounded or killed in action. The event will honor all Purple Heart recipients in the NEC community, and it takes place Monday, November 10th at 2:30 in the Simon Great Room. Coming up on NEC-TV, it's one of the unique perks given to NEC students, what you need to know so you can ski free at Pat's Peak this winter, and a preview of upcoming events just ahead. We'll be right back. It was a scary night for more than 100 students who dared to venture down the haunted trail. The event featured several zombies, ghosts, and a chainsaw murderer by the Don Melander Turf Field. The spectacular event was hosted by the Criminal Justice and Theater Club. The event will take place again next year. Now that we're past Halloween, it's time to start thinking about snow. Get ready to break out your skis or board and take adventure of free Pat's Peak Ski Pass. On-campus undergrads can ski, board, and tube at no cost this winter. To get your season pass, go to patspeak.com/NEC. Opening day will depend on weather, but this year the mountain debuts its new 4-person chairlift. If you've been on campus this fall, you probably noticed new large art installations outside. NEC received 2 new large sculptures from renowned artist Lisa Howard. Howard's pieces, Stat Pedal and Gateway, are positioned beside the Putnam Center and near the Spalding House. These pieces are meant to reflect form, balance, and movement. Howard is the aunt of NEC Biology, Health, and Science Professor Dr. Deborah Dunlop. There are just 19 days until residence halls close for Thanksgiving break. Dorms will close on Tuesday, November 25th at 7 p.m. and will reopen on Sunday, November 30th at 8 a.m. Anyone not pre-approved to stay on campus during that time will be required to leave. Classes will start back up on Monday, December 1st to finish out the remainder of the semester. Email reslife@nec.edu with any questions. Looking for some fun things to do on campus? Head to Open Mic Night at the pub starting at 6 p.m. tomorrow. It's hosted by the Ravens and Writing Desks and welcomes songs, short stories, and poems. The Sports and Rec Club is bringing intramurals back to campus starting at 7:30 on Friday. The QR to sign up is on the screen. On Wednesday, the Office of Student Engagement is having a shuttle take students to the Concord Target at 5 p.m. First come, first serve. Finally, Sports and Rec is also hosting sports trivia in the pub Saturday the 15th starting at 8 p.m. A former NEC student who has had a remarkable career in international development will be speaking on campus today as part of the Presidential Speaker Series. Rebecca Brewington, class of 1996, will share her experience in managing programs in Africa, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and Asia. She will receive an award for outstanding alumni achievement and take part in a conversation today at 4:30 in the Putnam Theater. Next week, we sit down with Brewington to learn more about her career since leaving NEC. Coming up on NEC-TV just after the break, wrestler Jackie Denny had a remarkable season last year and takes home her first win of the season. And in the playoffs, we look at field hockey's semifinal game against Dean College. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. More than $5,000 have been raised by the 3rd annual Hugs for Vets run. Runners hit the trail Sunday starting at and finishing at the Henniker Brewery. NEC grad student Megan McCamish was the first female finisher. Other students, faculty, and community members also ran. The race is organized by NEC professor and Army veteran Raylan Vitti, who set out to honor her late husband, who was also a veteran. Vitti says his passing encouraged her to get more involved with local veteran organizations. It's been a fun week of sports on the national stage, but there's also a lot of excitement for sports here in Henniker. Let's check in with NEC-TV's Parker Doobie for this week's sports recap.
Thanks, Bodie. It's that time of year where we're seeing the end of some team seasons, playoff action, and the start of our winter schedule. Starting with field hockey, they started playoffs well, earning a 3-0 victory over LaSalle University, but finished their season falling to Dean College in the semifinals with a final score of 1-0. Volleyball has 3 more games in their season as they face 3 conference opponents to finish out the season. With 1 win, they earn a playoff spot as the 8th seed inside the GNAC playoffs. It was finishing the season for NEC soccer as both teams missed the playoffs this season. The women, finishing with a 4-11-3 record, closed out the season with a high-scoring 3-3 draw, and the men's missed the playoff spot by 5 points and finished their season with a 7-8-3 record, just below the 500 mark. For winter sports, men's and women's hockey have already played their first game and combined for a 2-1 record over the first weekend. The women took down MCLA in an overtime game, 2-1, before falling to Worcester State with the same score. The men headed to Riviera University, where they picked up a dominant 6-2 win, with Gunnar Sibley grabbing 3 points and Jack Herron netting 2 goals. Both basketball teams have yet to play their first game, but will this weekend, as the men host Plymouth State on Friday and the women host Lesley University on Saturday. Men's wrestling faced Norwich and Springfield College, where they fell in both matches on Saturday, and the women's team saw success when Jacqueline Denny placed first overall in the 138 division. Denny continues her success after finishing last season with an outstanding record of 32-2 and earning All-American honors at the NCWWC Nationals. For the sports recap, I'm Parker Doobie, NEC-TV.
It's getting colder day by day in Henniker. The rain has been kicking in, and we're gearing up for the start to a fresh winter season. Here's NEC-TV's Leah Bowling with the scoop on this week's weather.
Thanks, Bodie. If it seems like it's getting darker earlier, it is. Daylight savings may have brought an extra hour to the weekend, but it means darkness comes earlier. Today will be partly cloudy, leading us into a cloudy day tomorrow. The weekend will start and end with rain, with showers early Sunday morning and late Sunday night. And we're looking at a partly cloudy for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We haven't had a hard frost yet, but starting today the lows are in the upper 20s to 30s and at times 40s. The high will be 58 on Saturday, and it slowly drops until we plateau in the low 40s on Wednesday. It's time to break out your winter coats and hot cocoa. I'm Leah Bowling. Back to you at the desk.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at nec.tv for the latest NEC news. Thank you for joining us. We'll sure see you right back here next week for all things NEC from the only Henniker on Earth.